break it down with you, learn little bit about A dot for the week, which I might have missed.
Yeah,
Everything that I've done up
you
until
will
this
definitely
point.
hear about A dot. I'm sure of that. Ready to get into it?
Yep, ready to get into it.
All right, first game. Two of the biggest pieces of news. We've got the Cardinals versus the Saints. The spread continues to widen as the Saints are now 12.5-point home favorites, 48.5-point total. That is also moved down. Man. No, we don't want to see more of you. Definitely don't want that. 48.5-point totals moved down a point since it opened. The obvious news was that Alvin Kamara and David Johnson both not playing. I think this obviously locks Latavius Murray into cash again for me, like we saw last week. And I'm excited for him to crush me for not playing him last week and then playing him this week. But, I mean, 5,900 on DK. He got the entirety of the work, and then they cut Zach Zenner, who's the only player to get, like, other touches significantly. He got, like, two receptions or 2 targets and 1 carry.
Your favorite player? Zach Zenner.
Well, it's a revenge game. He's on the other side now. Revenge game narrative.
Oh, really? Interesting.
He is, yeah. They signed him because they knew David Johnson wasn't going to play, so they signed him and Alfred Morris.
What do you think your exposure will be? 100% lock him in? Center?
See, I think if he's on the showdown slate, I'm actually going to fire off like a single $1 because how crushing would it be if he scored a touchdown and I didn't get to profit?
For those who don't know, just don't play Zach Zenner at all.
Yeah, don't actually play Zach Zenner.
Don't actually play Zach Zenner.
Unless he's 200 on showdown.
Fantastic.
If he's 200 on showdown.
Yeah, if he's 200 on showdown, he's fine.
I haven't looked yet. So this game pretty much narrows down to a very few plays for me. Chase Edmonds is a good play, but at 6,200 with values like Ty Johnson, with values like Chris Carson, and obviously Latavius Murray, I'm probably not going to get to him in cash, but I can understand the argument. We saw last week the amount of like just the dominance he's going to have over this team's backfield. I get that they signed Zenner and Alfred Morris. I still think those guys are just like 1 or 2 snap relief plays. They're not brought in to get a lot of work. So I think he's a good play in volume, but just as a 12.5-point underdog on the road, I can get not playing him in cash, and I probably won't either. So,
yeah, I think this is definitely an interesting game with the news changing. You're adding Breeze. He's someone who hasn't really been talked enough about all week, so I think you can leverage the people that might in projection systems that might have his projection a little behind. I would say they'll probably adjust projection systems, but just like people that just pay attention to tout news and stuff like that are going to be overlook Breeze. I think he's a good play. Michael Thomas, highest projected player on the slate. Like you said, core play, playing cash. But you forgot to mention the sneakiest player on the slate. I thought you'd be more.
Who's the sneakiest?
Sharper. I thought you were sharper than that.
I tee you up sometimes. I can't dunk everyone.
Okay. So you have Kenny Stills at 4,700. He's gonna be relatively chalky today. Teddy Ginn down at 3,700. I think is a very sharp play on this slate. He's had a high A dot in the past. Kyle's a big A dot guy. He's 1,000 cheaper than Kenny Stills. And this is a pace up game. The Arizona Cardinals run multiple plays per round, like 75 to 90 plays per game. This is on the fast track in the Superdome, Coors Field of the NFL. This is like the best spot we can get guys. And I just think Teddy Ginn's pretty sneaky today.
Yeah, and I know people have said in the past that Drew Brees is like done throwing his deep ball is gone, but he's actually been like really efficient throwing deep ball. He's just throwing it less because he's throwing the ball less in general. Like I think these are still whatever targets Ted Ginn gets are going to be the primo quality targets because they were saying like I think it was like a lesser percentage of Drew Brees's attempts, yards, touchdowns, everything came from the deep ball, but he was still just as efficient. It's just they didn't like need to throw the deep ball as much. They had a better running game and everything. So even especially
the system kind of changed up last year, especially with having Alvin Kamara. But right now, like
exactly. This sets up like the ultimate really reverse back to the old system. Yeah.
Teddy
it does really set up like for the ultimate reversion.
Yeah.
All right. Any interest in Larry Fitzgerald? Because I just cannot keep playing this guy.
So like unlike you, but you don't play as many lineups as me. 5,400 defense when it does matter. Christian Kirk's probably going to see Marcus Lattimore, so I don't mind targets funneled to Larry, funneled to Chase Edmonds, pace up spot. So I think there's a little bit more there for Larry at that price this week. He's not someone I'm prioritizing, but I don't hate the play like you.
I don't hate it. It's just he's hurt me.
Yeah,
He's a man who's hurt me.
Well, this is
all right.
DFS. It's a week to day, new day. Get over the past.
That it is. The next game we have is Tampa Bay versus Tennessee. And early in the week, I thought that that I was going to be the sharpest dude in the room and play Ryan Tannehill running back like AJ Brown. And every single tout and their mother has talked about this play. Like, it has become the most obvious play because the Bucs are a funnel pass defense. How much are you actually buying into? Like, first of all, it's Ryan Tannehill. He's like, we have a large enough sample to say he's legitimately bad at football. Their offense hasn't looked good before. Like, he's not a giant improvement over Marcus Mariota, and their offense hasn't been good with Marcus Mariota. I don't know. It just seems like this is going to be the easiest bust for, like, I don't want to say he's going to be chalky, but like everyone's dark horse play of the week. It's going to be the easiest bust.
No, I think that's AJ Brown's a sharp call. The thing that scares me about AJ Brown is he's a rotational player. And also, like, I don't really think this game's going to be too high scoring. Like, I'd rather go with that Breeze, Lat, Ginn stack or Breeze, Ginn, Lat, Michael Thomas stack than stack up this game. I just think it's like there's a lot that you kind of need to go right for this game to work out for you. AJ Brown is a one-off, is fine. I know they funnel. Tannehill's fine, but I don't know. Corey Davis, Jonnu Smith, he's going to be pretty low. He's at a pretty low price tag. No Delaney Walker. I don't mind the Tennessee stack in this game. Run it back with Godwin, maybe. I just don't. I'm not really in love with it probably as much as I should be. I don't know.
I guess
if I was, I'm not playing 150 this week. If I was playing 150, I'd probably have a good, some exposure to it at least.
Two important news things to talk about that you mentioned. One, Delaney Walker and OJ Howard out. Both these guys, 2,700. I actually think Brait is, even though they are not the favorites, I think Brait on a team that's going to be passing more just by game script than a team that passes more in terms of they're one of the pass heavier teams in the league. I think Brait is the punt play at tight end. We talked about Noah Fant earlier in the week, and Jonnu Smith is reasonably, he's a starting tight end at 2,800 with like previous experience. But for me, it's easily Cameron Brait. I'm
with you. I didn't get to the Tampa side. Outside of Godwin, Brait would be a better play than Jonnu Smith. I was just kind of harping on the Tennessee, what you were talking about with Tennessee.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jonnu Smith isn't a bad play. And if you ran Tennessee stacks, I don't think he's the worst play, but I think the Tennessee stacks are getting overrated at this point. Like, every tout talks about them. I think they're going to be higher owned than like even models would suggest.
Yeah, at this point, like, I just don't want a lot to do with Tennessee and what I'm playing.
Yeah, I would rather, if I'm going for this game, I would rather run Jameis stacks. He's a dude who historically has like crazy outlier games in his range of outcomes. And Chris Godwin is like massively underpriced at 7,100 in my eyes.
Mike Evans also has a serious height advantage over Malcolm Butler. I don't know how much that matters. People ain't going to really play Mike Evans at all. Just something to kind of keep in mind. I don't hate Mike Evans today if I was building 150.
Yeah, I think just the entire, like, this Tampa Bay offense probably has like weekly explosive upside and is not going to be owned like that because it's kind of a meh game. One final thing, any defense that gets play Ryan Tannehill, Tampa Bay at 2,400 has actually had a pretty decent season as a defense, and it'll hopefully like destroy the lineups that think Ryan Tannehill stacks are really sharp. Yeah,
see, I would probably go to the other side and play the Tennessee defense versus Jameis Winston. I think that's in tournaments an interesting D that caught my eye. I wasn't really on. I think Tannehill's going to be fine going forward. He'll be all right.
All right, let's hop into our next game. We have the Giants versus the Lions. Lions are 6.5-point home favorites. The total's actually moved up half a point to 49, making it one of the higher ones on the slate. Last week, I guess like this all starts with how owned do you think the Lions are going to be? Because last week we obviously saw them just absolutely crush. I think Kennedy Golladay is a good value. I don't think people are going to be so incredibly burned by him last week that he's like completely unowned. So if this game isn't going to be extremely popular, if people aren't going to chase last week, then I think running Stafford back with like Golladay, Ingram, and any of like Ty Johnson or TJ Hawkinson is something I do.
Yeah, so you're on Stafford. I'd probably be on Daniel Jones. That's just me. I like Daniel Jones here. I like the Hawkinson call, like Galladay. Like you said, though, I don't know if a lot of people are just going to get off Galladay because of one bad week. Maybe in lower stakes, but definitely not higher stakes. I think that's someone that people will gravitate to. So there's not going to be as much ownership leverage as you would think with Kenny Galladay in higher stakes. Um, Hawkinson, you mentioned. He's like a good play. Saquon's interesting. I think Saquon's like still, I'm still not sure like everything's okay. Like he's fine. Like he got the workload. He was banged up on a couple plays last week, so I'm a little nervous um, in that situation. But Detroit hasn't been good against the run. Not a lot of people are going to pay up for Saquon. And if Snacks Harrison is out for Detroit at 11:30, he's questionable. Saquon's an extremely, extremely good tournament play. And probably, I don't know, I'd really like Saquon in tournaments if I get news that Snacks out versus Detroit defense, which is something that we'll have to wait and see on. I also like Golden Tate at 5,800. His targets have came up significantly. He would be the guy for me that I kind of prefer. Like if I was playing MME, I'd have a good amount of Galladay and Golden Tate running it back with Saquon in this situation.
Yeah, Tate has 20 targets in the past 2 games, gone over 80, has hit 80 yards in both. Like he's got such a like high floor, and I think he's like if this game ends up shooting out, obviously any player in that type of game environment has high ceiling. I think the Golden Tate call is really sharp.
Yeah, I think also Golden Tate. It's a little revenge narrative there. He seems like a vengeful guy, Golden Tate. I'm usually not big on the revenge narratives. I like Tate. Don't play Golden Tate and Galladay together. What you would do is if Harrison's out, you'd play Saquon, and then you play either Galladay or Saquon and Golden Tate. It's just a game stack between Saquon and one of the Detroit receivers or Hawkinson.
How do you feel about Ty Johnson this week? I've earlier in the week, I thought he was like a lock and cash game, but obviously I didn't know we would get the David Johnson news, the Alvin Kamara news. I still think he's a fine play, but I don't think we can be that much sure that he is going to get all the work that you consider him in cash, given the values that have opened up. I still think if you're running stacks of this game, especially a guy who like people often consider to be like a receiving back type, basically, like they thought he would be another change of pace back, that he could catch the ball out of the backfield. I think that puts him in consideration for even like game stacks here. But I don't know. He's probably out for me in cash for sure.
Yeah, he's out for me in cash. On FanDuel, he's viable in cash games, but I'm starting to even not like him as much over there. Yeah, that would be pretty much it. Like that's pretty much it.
All right, the next game we have here is the Rams versus the Bengals. Rams are 11.5-point favorites. That's actually moved down 1.5 since opening as 13-point favorites. And the totals moved down. Basically, all that movement has just funneled down to the total. It's now at 46.5. Yeah, this game, I mean, you can, I want to say like at any point, you can always play any Rams receiver. They're all like able to go off. For me, I still think after burning people 2 or 3 weeks in a row, I do think we'll start getting a bit of a downward creep in ownership for Cooper Kupp. So I think he's a good play, and I would always be looking to run him back with Tyler Boyd. Got 14 targets last week. Wasn't able to convert on a ton of them, but he's like generally like a low ADOT slot guy. That's like your conversion rate on those types of targets is extremely high, even if your quarterback is Andy Dalton. So for me, I think if I'm running any Rams, I'm always running it back with Tyler Boyd, mostly because I'm not going to try. Like I don't think Alex Erickson or Auden Tate really have any like repeatability in what they've done in the past few weeks.
Yeah, I like the Boyd call. I don't love the Bengals. It's tough to game stack this game for me, but with those targets, he's also popping pretty well in optimals. I don't mind Boyd. Like on the Ram side, it's Cooper Kupp. Like, I think you could go back to the well on Cooper Kupp. And then from there, it's the defense. Like the running backs, it's too hard to tell. Although if Gurley were to get like anywhere near a full workload, 7,800, it would be nice if he was cheaper. He's not cheap enough. Like if he was at 60, 200 like he was last week, I would play him immediately. Especially in higher stakes where you might get some people that just don't want to deal with it. I just, yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, I don't love this spot. This I don't really love this game outside of Cup and the defense and the Tyler Boyd call that you made, but I just don't even think I'm going to play Boyd at this point.
I actually do think because of Gurley, the price hike we saw from last week at now to 7,400, he's going to be pretty low owned against probably the worst defense in terms of defending the run in the entire league. Also, the amount of receptions, which is something Gurley has like basically kept his fantasy value afloat with, like just passing game volume. They have just been shredded by pass catching running backs. The Bengals have, so I think I'd still be open to playing Gurley. Also, Darrell Henderson. Not only did he get some decent amount of work cleanup last week, but just generally he was involved from the opening snap. So I think Henderson, 4K flat. If they get up early, we'll see a ton of Henderson in the second half. And if it's a high scoring game, he's always liable to put a touchdown in just because he's now he's the Malcolm Brown role. So we saw Malcolm Brown, I think in the first week scored 2 touchdowns. Darrell Henderson has that in his range of outcomes. And then of course he could get up to 15 to 20 touches if they just crush him in the first half. So I think Henderson's a sneaky play as well in this game.
Yeah, worst run D in the league. I thought Gurley was at 78. You said he's at 74. That's a little better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't mind the Gurley call. I don't mind the Henderson call. I think those guys are both sharp, and you gave a really good breakdown on both.
All right, let's hop into the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Buffalo Bills. Bills are 2.5-point home favorites, and this total has moved down 2.5 points as well to 41. At that point, I'm pretty much off this game. I think it's supposed to be a really cold game. It's supposed to be 40 degrees in Buffalo or something. Yeah, I think 11 teams tweeted about that. Yep. Oh, no, that's not temperature. That was open. Yeah. So at this point, the totals move down. John Brown's always a fine play, but I think because he hit last week at high ownership, he's going to be high owned again. I don't really care at that point. It's hard. You're not getting much leverage by playing him at that point. And I don't think the Eagles are going to be able to do a ton, especially without Deshaun Jackson, who really seemed to Deshaun Jackson adds an element to any team he goes to. They don't have him this week again. They haven't been able to put much up on offense. I just don't care about this game.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's Brown, and then it's Ertz if you're game stacking, because Brown is going to be so heavily owned. Ertz might see lower ownership. He might probably be around 10%. So he would be the guy that I'd go to. But like you, I'm not too bullish on this game. I actually think that the Eagles will get it together. I think they could come around today. I just don't. This game's not the greatest. I like the game stack there, but I just don't. I'm not on. I just don't love the game. Low total.
Ertz, no, I think Ertz will come in even lower than 10% because he really honestly hasn't done much this whole season. But he's getting league leading volume. I want to say he's top 2 in air yards, top 2 in targets for a tight
baby,
end.
We are rostering Ertz, the air yard bank. Let's go to the bank.
Bad.
If you're playing Brown, you got to play Ertz. If that's the case,
I definitely agree with that.
If he's going to be under 7%, you have to play Ertz. Air yards does matter, unlike defense. Even though I break Kyle's balls, but it does matter. So, and the volume, if it's there, eventually it'll swing back the other way. Carson Wentz, they need to get on track. They're pretty much back against the wall. Carson Wentz has consistently targeted Ertz over his career no one else has ever targeted a tight end. So I like Ertz today then a little bit more if the ownership's there and they need to get right.
I have one more question because I've noticed this a lot in different models. Dallas Goedert he's got 18 targets in the past 4 weeks. He's gotten over 9 points in 3 of those. He's becoming a very significant part of this offense. We saw at one point last year. I think it was before Golden Tate showed up last year. They were working him in, and then they just had to force Golden Tate in. But he's becoming a significant member of this offense at 2,800. I think you're getting a low end receiver, 3 or 4 basically, because he's just out there running receiver routes. So any interest in him, especially at his price of 2,800?
I have interest in him long term. Chasing him after last week because he caught that long touchdown. Obviously, he said the numbers are there. I just would be more on the side of Ertz, kind of doing well, getting back on track. They need to get going. They got to go to their bread and butter.
Yeah, I agree. I would be much more interested in Goedert if they had a high total. At that point, I think his probability of scoring a touchdown significantly goes up as a rotational piece. But in a game where they have less than 20 implied team total, I don't really care too much.
Yeah,
All right.
it's a sharp call though for like season long going forward. So I'm gonna pick up for that reason.
All right, next game we have is the Jets versus the Jaguars. Jags are 7-point home favorites. It's come up 2 points since they opened at 5. Total has not moved at 40.5, meaning Vegas does not expect the Jets to score a lot of points. Leonard Fournette still massively underpriced. He's 7,800, but he's now leading the league in terms of running back touches. I think he's always in play for cash until they hike him up to like mid 8K. I'll probably still be on him this week. Outside of that, Dede Westbrook looks like he's going to suit up, so it's going to be hard to pick between Dede and DJ Chark. I just like people want to anoint a wide receiver one on this team. I don't think they have one. I think it's just whoever the matchup and the game flow dictates. So I'm not awfully interested in either of these players. For you, who are you going with the Jets, if anybody?
Big Len. Big Len's going to be the guy in cash today. You're going to want to have him. I think you can make the case to fade in tournaments. And you asked about a Jet that I really like today in tournaments, and that's Le'Veon Bell. I just think he's in a really interesting spot at 6,900 for tournament leverage. I know you're probably not on the Jets or even got to that thought, just because that's not really kind of how you approach it, I feel like. I'm more tournament minded. Like I like the leverage at 6,900. I don't even hate Robbie Anderson. You take Jalen Ramsey out of the secondary, guy who can take the top off. I don't mind it. I'm not going to go as far as to say play Sam Darnold, but yeah, I wouldn't do that. But if you're a tournament guy, you have to look at all the situations. I like Le'Veon Bell. I think he's a really good play. I like running him back with either Chark or Westbrook. I would like to get to Chark. I've been trying to get to Chark, but he's priced up at 6K. Another guy I think is fairly interesting. Fairly interesting is John Oliver. Coach Speak says he's going to get a little time at the tight end.
John Oliver, British comedian, TV host. Josh Oliver, tight end.
Oliver, tight end.
No, like they've been hamstrung at tight end. They lost James O'Shaughnessy a few weeks ago onto IR.
Yeah.
And Oliver was a guy they took to hopefully be their starting tight end. He was a talented receiver in college. So I actually like that call. Go ahead.
Jamal Adams is not as good at football, but he's not good in coverage. Like he's good at like stopping the run, laying the wood, but he's like average in coverage. Like I don't mind Oliver. I think he's really sneaky as a lower end tight end if you're mass multi-entering, or if you're just looking to run something back with Lev and get up to higher pieces that might get you off some chalk. I don't know. That's pretty much my thoughts. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to double down on the Robbie Anderson thing. I would probably be looking to go Robbie as opposed to Bell, just because Bell hasn't gotten a ton of receiving work lately, which is kind of the problem.
So I was wondering, and yeah, they played the Pats last week though. That's the thing, and also Darnold was only in the. They only played with Darnold for one game prior to playing the Pats, so those numbers are skewed. Like, I just wanted to get so Robbie Anderson. They're supposed to be trying to trade him. Is that going to knock? Or are they going to give him a look, or what are they going to do?
Yeah, see, that's like I think there are too many ways to spin it. Where you could say, like, oftentimes people will say, "Oh, well, they're going to try and get him out there and make him like they want him to have a big game because then you trade him, or they want him to not play much because if he gets hurt, you can't trade him." I don't think it's like predictable in any way what this.
Or
means.
they don't like him and they don't want him to see the field because
you could spin 100 narratives. You could spin 100 narratives. I don't think it's in any way possible to predict which one. What I do think is predictive is air yards, and your boy Robbie Anderson had a ton of those last week. He had like 180 targets.
Oh baby, we got to roster him now,
dude. No. He is like he's. I don't know. I haven't looked at air yards by low model.
So did
he's my own personal one.
3,300.
He sucks though. I mean, if you were playing 150, I would understand it. He's gotten like 9 targets in multiple weeks this season at 3,300. I think it's in 2 of the past 3 weeks. So
I'm surprised you didn't come into this game more bullish on the Jets with all these air yards going around in that bank of yours.
It's the problem is their air yards from Sam Darnold. He's not that good. They're mediocre air yards, but air yards are air yards, man. I think Robbie Anderson's a very sharp play. Le'Veon Bell, not bad. And I do like he's going to be super underowned for a guy who has like a history of 30 touch games. So.
Yeah, Lev. He's good at football. I like Lev today.
He is very good at football. Our next game we have, I think we have official news, although this is mostly official going into this day. We have Seattle versus Atlanta. Seattle now 8-point favorites, 50-point total. The total has not moved down a ton since opening at 51. Despite the fact that Matt Schaub will be starting. I don't think they've officially announced, obviously haven't announced inactives yet, but I think Matt Schaub should be starting. So at that point for me, I guess my question would be if they're going to be like, they have been a pass heavy team all season. They haven't been able to run the ball. I expect them to still be a pass heavy team in a game where they're 8-point favorites in a dome at home. Are the Atlanta Falcons receiving options still sneaky plays? Because I think they're going to be massively underowned just in general, like compared to what we see normally on a week from them, especially on a week where they don't have Mohamed Sanu anymore. So the targets are going to be funneled to basically 3 guys. I think, I don't know. I'm more interested in them without Matt Schaub because I think the ownership is going to swing, or more interested in them with Matt Schaub because I think the ownership is going to swing so heavily downward for them.
Well, if Ryan had played, I was going to play Freeman, so I feel like he would have been low owned anyways. Yeah, I don't, just because of how a lot of people would have been really, it would have been really difficult for a lot of people to click that Freeman button. Now I really can't click that Freeman button, so kind of upset about that. You mentioned these guys, like Julio would be my favorite play, then Hooper, then probably Ridley. I just don't think Matt Schaub has the accuracy to hit a moving target like Ridley, going as fast as he's going down the field. It would be more easy to just throw it up to Julio and let him box someone out. On the Seattle side, like definitely not having Matt Ryan in the game hurts Russell Wilson, but I think it definitely helps the correlation play of Chris Carson and Seattle defense, and that's where I would kind of be looking.
Yeah, I think Chris Carson, I'm definitely playing Latavius Murray in cash. For me, it's these final 2 spots. I'm looking at Leonard Fournette, Chris Carson, Chase Edmonds, and I'm probably going to prioritize getting Chris Carson there because he's getting he's basically like miniature Leonard Fournette, getting that same sort of just leading the league in touches type of work at 7K against an awful defense as an 8-point favorite. Everything lines up for Chris Carson this week.
I liked Lockett. I liked Lockett and DK if Ryan had played too, but we can get into them if you want to because they have good numbers. But I feel like if you take Ryan out, there's no point. We can just talk about them next time they have a game and Ryan and it's a more of a shootout or whatever.
Yeah, that's how I feel. The only way I'm not playing this game as a correlation play between high scoring teams. The only way I'd play it is Chris Carson, Seattle defense, or Chris Carson, and potentially run it back with Julio Jones garbage time, getting 14 targets, even if they're bad Matt Schaub targets.
Yeah, I get you.
But yeah, it's not like a game stack in the traditional sense for me because I don't expect the Falcons to score much. So let's look into the next game. This is the probably the final piece of news we have for the week is the Chargers will likely be without Keenan Allen. It's not confirmed yet, but this seems the way it's heading. Keenan Allen, I think, basically showed up as it did not practice on Thursday, did not practice again Friday, and now he's not going to play. So for me, Mike Williams at 4K is strongly consideration in cash. I thought he was a good play before, getting a decent amount of volume on a team that just loves to lose. The Chargers love to lose football games, and they pass a lot when that happens. So I expect this to be one of the more pass-heavy teams on the week. That puts basically all their pass catchers in play with Keenan Allen out. I like Hunter Henry in 4,900. I think he's probably the lowest I'd go until I get down to Hawkinson and then the sub 3K guys. And Austin Eckler is that dude. He's so good.
Yeah, so I think both Mike Williams and Hunter Henry are in play for cash. I would probably pick one going up against the Bears defense because defense kind of matters. I know the Bears defense hasn't been as good as it was in the beginning of the year. Mike Williams is a really strong play. Henry, who would Mike Williams see in that situation? He'd probably see their number one.
I have no clue. I don't care about defense.
Yeah, so never mind. You're a bad person to ask. I think I'd prefer Henry in cash. Yeah, I think I'd prefer Henry in cash, but Williams is definitely in play in cash games regardless. And then I think Eckler is really sneaky at 5,900. I just think if I was playing tournaments, he would be a guy I would prioritize. If he gets, there's work to go around here. If Keenan Allen's out, a lot of those targets would be to a guy like Eckler who would work the slot. If Mike Williams is having trouble on the outside, trying to get that pass rush, like that, obviously, Eckler fits this game really good. And we say all this, and then Melvin Gordon will get 20 carries, and
he'll get 20 carries, 40 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, 20 carries,
3 in from the goal line.
20 carries, 20 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Yep.
All right. So looking at the other side, Allen Robinson, like truly like breaking out as a dominant receiver, which we've seen before. It's not awfully surprising. It's just a shame that he's played with Blake Bortles and Blake Bortles. So I still think he's always in play just in terms of volume. For me, the lower Tariq Cohen's price goes, he gets more and more of a sneaky play, especially in a game that I think you could just run Tariq Cohen back with like Hunter Henry running back with Mike Williams, basically.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't hate the Cohen call. Robinson's going to be in a situation where, yeah, he'll see Casey Hayward, but they do enough to move Robinson around where I don't mind. Like they'll get him in the slot on Desmond King. There's a significant height advantage there. Allen Robinson's a great route runner. And I think that he's going to be leaned on by Trubisky, who's obviously heard a lot from the media and probably not all mentally there. So he'll rely on his favorite weapon. Which I would believe to be Allen Robinson. I think game stacking Allen Robinson and Eckler is interesting in tournaments.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking to stack Eckler in as many ways as possible. He has I think he has 19 targets in the past 2 games and 15 catches. And the thing is, I think if you, much like Tariq Cohen, the more you get, I don't care how many touches Melvin Gordon has. He's probably not going to break a ton of long plays. He's not awfully elusive. He's just not that good. Whereas I think if you get Austin Eckler 15 touches in the game, his probability of breaking a long run or taking one to the house is much higher than I'd say a lot of other running backs.
I feel like Melvin Gordon is really going to make me upset come 4:00 today. I hope not, but I'm with you on Eckler. I think he's a fantastic play. I really think, I don't know. I think I could definitely see why can't Melvin Gordon just go away, man? It'd be so good.
No, because then Austin Eckler's ownership would go up. We need low owned Eckler this week.
All right, I'm with you.
All right, let's get into our next game. We have the Colts versus the Denver Broncos. Colts are 4.5-point favorites. The line has moved 2 points despite the Colts being at home in favor of the Broncos. Still 4.5-point dogs, but also the total has moved down to 42. At that point, it starts getting if all this money is coming in on low total game, I'm probably less interested. I still think because of the Emmanuel Sanders trade after prices came out on DraftKings, it's pretty reasonable. Deshaun Hamilton at 3,300 probably steps up into the slot role. I know there's been a bit of negative coach speak on him, but he's still got he's still the 3rd receiver on the team this season. So they clearly they can't talk that bad about him. They played him more than any other receiver other than Emmanuel Sanders and Cortland Sutton. So for me, I still think he's viable in cash because he's 3,300 and could see 7 to 8 targets. Same could be said for Noah Fant at 2,900, I believe, because he could see an uptick in targets and he's got one of the highest ADOTs of tight ends. I think all these guys are fine because of their value, but it's hard for me to get excited about this game with a low total that continues to move down.
I thought you said it came up.
No, it moved down 1.5.
Okay, so Sutton isn't playing for cash. Noah Fant, you just hit on, and you made fun of me earlier in the week for the call. But
I didn't make fun of you.
It would have been better. It would have been better. It would have been better if other situations didn't open up. Jack Doyle might miss. If he misses, I'd be interested in going to Eric Ebron at 3,400. I think he would be a really good play at that point and good to run back with Sutton. I think Lindsey is extremely, extremely sneaky. He might be a guy at the end of the day who we're looking at and be why didn't we roster Lindsey? He'll be utilized in the passing game. There's obviously targets to go around. He's on the fast track. Indy's never good against running backs for whatever reason they might be this year. I don't know. But I like Lindsey a little. Definitely have a little interest there.
I mean, it's once every 3 weeks, we always look back and ask ourselves, why weren't we on Philip Lindsay? Because he's basically discount Austin Eckler. He's Austin Eckler, but in a different location.
That's what I was going to say. And he's Austin Eckler. And actually, I was going to make the case that he didn't have to deal with Melvin Gordon, but Royce Freeman snaps have come up. So Maybe
No,
he is
it's a very
Austin
similar
Eckler.
situation.
It's a very similar situation, yeah.
It's actually shockingly similar because the volume slot receiver is out. I believe they're both on the road. Both road dogs expect to be throwing a lot. Like, it's actually shockingly similar. So I like that call a lot. Like, if you like Austin Eckler, you out of necessity have to like Philip Lindsay.
Yeah, they're nearly the same play.
Yeah. Do we miss anything else in this game? I don't know. With the low total, I'm not as interested in T.Y. Hilton. I guess Marlon Mack is probably someone we should talk about, getting a ton of volume and like not producing. But the thing is, that was the same argument against Leonard Fournette earlier in the season. And it's the same argument that is keeping him from being like the uber mega chalk, which like right now looks probably to be Latavius Murray, despite the fact that Leonard Fournette just crushing Marlon Mack in terms of volume, just crushing, but has not scored and has not been awfully efficient.
Yeah. Marlon Mack's fine at 6K. Like, no one's gonna play him. I don't hate it. I know he doesn't has the passing game volume, but there's obviously better plays. If you take out Doyle, maybe he's utilized more. I don't know. I don't hate Mack for the ownership. That's pretty much my reasoning if I was to play him.
Mack, not a non-threat in the passing game, has 4 games of 3 targets this season. That's what.
Yeah. And that'll see if you take Doyle out, like you got to imagine those short area targets. Doyle's a guy that eats those up. So Mack is probably more in play situationally.
Yeah. Like definitely not the best play, but you're going to get low ownership on a guy with a lot of volume. So
if I'm playing Sutton, I'm game stacking this for whatever reason that you would be game stacking this. With the total going down, probably not a lot of them. Sutton, I wouldn't mind going to Mac or a TY, but I think Mac probably has more leverage than TY on the slate. You can pull that up.
Mac is I would be shocked.
No one's gonna play Mac. And then on the other side, like if you wanted to play Ebron for whatever reason, he's another play with Sutton that works. If Doyle's out, like Sutton, it would be Sutton to Ebron, or Lindsay to Ebron or something like that for me. Different ways of game stacking this.
All right, we have a few more games left on this slate. Carolina versus San Francisco. I think the interesting thing to start with here is, do you play 5-point dog? Not that Christian McCaffrey actually cares about the game script, but 5-point dog Christian McCaffrey on the road against a great run defense at 9,200. Like in cash, obviously the answer for me is no, because we've got so many good values, but I think it'll be interesting to see. This will probably be the lowest we get Christian McCaffrey owned for the rest of the season, I would imagine. Unless, things can change. But given that he's 9,200 in a pretty bad spot for a running back, he's going to be low owned relative to Christian McCaffrey standards. There's an interesting point to be made to potentially go for him, especially given like Jimmy Garoppolo has been relatively turnover prone. It's possible that he just turns it over on his own side of the field once or twice, and McCaffrey's upside in terms of touchdowns is 2-3 plus.
Yeah, I would play this game to shoot out. I would play Kittle and McCaffrey. I think a better player, sneakier play, is one of those receivers, whether it's Samuel and McCaffrey or Debo and McCaffrey. I would game stack it that way. I'm not playing anyone on the Panther side outside of McCaffrey, and on the other side, it's the usage with that team is so irritating because it's so not concentrated. It's the exact opposite. Like I think Sanders is like really interesting because he fits. He's like the type of route runner that Jimmy could really utilize. It's just a matter of he needs to get acclimated. How acclimated has he got since the trade? Like it's only been a couple days, right? So
yeah. See, okay. So you talked about this earlier, and that was my argument to you is that I don't know how much he's actually going to play, or just how much he's going to play, or how much he's going to know the system. But I think it was like right after that, or maybe it just came to mind that Schefter or Rapport or one of the talking heads said that they basically made a point to trade for him this week. They wanted him for this matchup. And it was Denver wanted to keep him. So they likely paid a premium to get him for this 1 week. Like Denver specifically wanted to keep him for this week as well, for whatever reason. Both teams wanted him this week. So San Francisco almost certainly paid a premium to get him this week. According to ownership, they essentially have a very vested interest in playing him this week. I think there's more. It's more likely now that I think about it that he gets like this full complement of work in his first week with the team.
Yeah, I think you're right. 1 sec. Sorry, I got a text. I have to answer. Yeah, I think if Schefter said that, then I really like Sanders. Sanders right at 4,700. Like, get me Sanders. You know what I mean? Especially if you use my guy Teddy Ginn, then you go to Sanders, then you have another low guy. There's Kenny Stills there. You can get up to McCaffrey, so you can just figure it out.
I don't think you need to do all those things to get to McCaffrey. You just do like one or two of them.
No, but at that point you're paying up at running back all the way. I feel
all
like.
Right. Are you ready for the next game? I think we covered most of everything in that game.
So you're getting McCaffrey and Barkley in that situation.
All right. Yeah, actually, nobody's gonna have McCaffrey, Barkley stack or not stack.
No one's gonna pay up for the two best players on the slate. Yeah,
I like that way of putting it. I might do that once. All right, next game. You have a sharp call here, and I've come around to it more and more since you talked about it. It's the New England Patriots versus the Cleveland Browns.
I have a better call in this game.
Do you have a better call?
I'm gonna have all good tournament takes, and then like last week, I'm just gonna finish like 7th out of like 100 and not make any money.
And then you make like $20.
Yeah.
All right. So this game, we have the Patriots as now 11-point favorites, moved half a point in their favor since opening. And the concerning thing here is I'm looking at a total that's moved down 2.5 points. That kind of puts this game. I mean, I was never really interested in stacking this game in the first place, just because I really find it hard to see Baker Mayfield leading the league in picks, getting sacked a lot with a pretty mediocre offensive line, coming in and doing much to the best defense like in probably a decade. So for me, it's hard to stack this game, but I'm fine with playing one-offs, especially on the Patriots side with a pretty high implied team total, 27, a little over 27.
Yeah. What did you were you going to continue?
No, go ahead. You've got hot takes. Start firing.
Yeah, so I was on Beckham like earlier in the week. He's going to be the lowest owned we've ever seen him. Like 7-yard slant to the house, and he breaks the slate at 6,400. A lot of people are going to just go to Galladay in that range when you can go to Beckham. I think it's all right. I've kind of moved off it looking at the weather. Like I have a little bit of it, but I just don't love it. I think Ricky Seals-Jones is extremely interesting coming off the bye. He had 6 targets previously to the bye. Bad weather game. You can run him back with Edelman. Brady the weather doesn't mind. I don't mind the Patriots passing game. Projections love the New England running game. That's Michelle at 5K and James White at 5,100. Really hate rostering Michelle on DK, but he's legitimately viable for cash this week. Just don't play him. It would be the best way me and Kyle would both put it.
Yes, that is actually like it's amazing. Every projection system just loves Sony Michel, and I can't do it. I could never.
Yeah, just don't do it.
Thank God though that we got like Latavius Murray, and if you want Chase Edmonds, like because it would have been much more interesting to consider if there was no Chase Edmonds, there was no Latavius Murray because of their starters going. So I feel more comfortable. Like the same can be said with Ty Johnson. Like I feel much more comfortable looking elsewhere now that there's a lot of good value.
White would have been a pretty interesting pivot off Ty Johnson, but he still would have been highly owned. So it's just like I would have likely played White in tournaments over Ty Johnson. Yeah, I think, like I said, I think Seals-Jones is interesting. I also think Edelman is a good play. Sanu, I think he's fine. I would prefer Philip Dorsett. You take Gordon out of that mix, though, and Edelman should see a good majority of targets. He's probably going to see Denzel Ward, but Denzel Ward doesn't go to the slot. So, like, in that case, is Denzel Ward's the corner for Cleveland? Oh, you don't care about defense.
I do know their corners, though. It's Denzel Ward and Greedy Williams. Greedy Williams was like, people thought he was a first-round pick, and he fell to them like the second or third. And obviously, Denzel Ward's just
they have good cornerbacks. Like
they do.
Yeah, they have really good corners. I think Nick Chubb's playable in this game. I wouldn't play him. I'm just not like into that today. I like Lev. But I like Edelman in the slot a ton today, and I like Ricky Seals-Jones in the slot as well. Well, as a tight end, just versus because he stays away from Gilmore will funnel target. If Beckham's on Gilmore, which I would imagine he would be, if Gilmore's on Beckham, then targets will be funneled to the middle of the field. Jarvis Landry, Ricky Seals-Jones. I'd rather Ricky Seals-Jones at 3,100.
Yeah, just you pretty much covered everything. One final thing, Philip Dorsett, I know you touched on him, and I get their corners. Like, he'll be playing on the outside, and their corners are good. But without Josh Gordon, Josh Gordon was basically the only player in this team getting consistent work deep outside of Philip Dorsett whenever Josh Gordon didn't play and Dorsett was healthy. I think Dorsett's still a great play. Last time we saw him, like before he came back this past week, he got 9 and 7 targets in back-to-back games. And last week he played 72 of 82 snaps. Like he was on the field pretty much the entire time. So for me, I get the corner matchup is bad, but I think at his price at 4,200, he's going to get multiple deep shots from Tom Brady. I'll be buying that at 4,200 all day.
See, I don't like attacking Ward.
Yeah, I just don't care.
It might be a really bad take. I don't like attacking Ward. Like I just don't. If that's who he's going to get, I don't like it. I prefer Edelman. I know defense doesn't matter and stuff. Ward was really good last year. He's just been back off injury. It's like his second or third game back. So if he's getting his legs under him, like, I don't know. This is an interest. Like, I don't know. I thought my Sills Jones take was a little better than what it probably came off as.
Just for like out of curiosity, you want to take a guess at what Denzel Ward's PFF rank is?
It's not good right now.
It's bad.
Yeah, but
he's good. Like I'm not saying he's not good.
He's 3 weeks, but he's 2 weeks back, dude. Like what's his
I'm not
PFF?
saying he's not good.
What's the sample size? That's not even a good. There's no sample size there.
But
if you're going to use numbers,
matchups aren't also like cornerback matchups. I'm just saying it's funny. I
don't think it matters as much. So I don't think it matters as much. I don't like. I'm a defense doesn't matter guy too, but in certain situations. Like if I can make the argument and it helps me advance my argument to Edelman, then I'll use the
Dude, I feel that though. No, I think the biggest thing also for me is that quarterback matchups cornerbacks year to year are not nearly as sticky as other positions. Like elite corners reach that top tier status a lot, but like we've seen they
come and go.
Yeah,
not everyone's Revis. I get it.
Yeah. All right,
Beckham. Wait 1 sec.
Go.
7 yard slant to the house. If he's at 6% ownership, just play him.
He's going to be low on. So
he's going to be low on.
Yeah. All right. Final game of the week. We have the Oakland Raiders versus the Texans. I want to say I saw that Josh Jacobs is going to play. I'm not playing him, but
I'm going to eat that Beckham take later on. I'm going to get People are going to tweet at me and say,
he's going to get a bunch of 7 yard slants and get tackled right away.
I'm going to be at the game. I'm going to be at the game. My phone's going to be blowing up. He's going to be at like 3 catches at the end of the third quarter. What do we get next?
Houston versus Oakland. Houston, let me see here, are 6-point favorites. It's moved down a point since opening. I'm actually kind of surprised by this 52.5 point total. I guess just I don't respect Oakland enough because they have a pretty solid implied team total, 22.75. The total's moved up 2 points. Like at this point, it's moving from I like the Texans to you have to just like this game stack as a whole, at least based on Vegas.
Don't tell me that because Justin tried to post a Josh Jacobs post and I took it down. I just can't because like out of all the plays that you could tout, like don't tout that. You know what I mean? Like you're just asking for it, you know?
Yeah, I started this game off with Josh Jacobs is going to be healthy and I'm not going to play him. So.
All right, good.
I think he's going to be healthy.
Last week, I loved Edmonds, and like I came to the idea that I loved Edmonds like right when Justin posted about David Johnson. I was like, "What are you doing?" and I didn't change it, and I this week I just changed it. Kenny Stills, very good play. Going to be extremely chalky, I would imagine, with Deshaun Watson getting those Will Fuller routes. I like going up to Hopkins at 8,100. I think he's a really good play. Running it back, a lot of people are going to run it back with Waller and cash. You can run it back with Tyrell Williams in tournaments that differentiate. Zay Jones is now in the mix, so maybe he eats in a Waller. They haven't played together yet. We don't know. It's important to note that Oakland traded one of their top corners to Houston. So I don't know what Oakland's doing, but I don't know if it's working. It's not working. Just not really. They have no secondary. They're an extreme pass funnel. Deshaun Watson's in a really good spot. Kenny Stills, Watson, definitely cash game viable. Is that pretty much it?
Yeah, this is obviously not a cash game play, but I am curious your thoughts on Carlos Hyde. He is, I believe, 4,700. He has 3 games of over 20 carries this season. He's against the Oakland run defense as a large favorite. I don't know. You have to look for spots for guys who are going to get 20 plus touches at 4,700.
Yeah. In tournaments, it makes sense. I didn't even think of it.
Yeah.
if you're gonna play, if I can make an argument for Michelle, I guess I have to make an argument
Right.
for
Yeah,
Carlos.
that's the thing.
They're the same guy, pretty much at this point. Everyone's like, yeah, Michelle's such a great play. Like, he probably is a good play this week, but dude, he's absolutely awful. Yeah, I guess Carlos Hyde isn't. You can play him. I wouldn't do it.
I've got here that Carlos Hyde peaked at 7% ownership this year, and that's because he played the Chiefs. So you kind of just want any, like, he's going to be under 5% own almost for sure. I guess under 3 or 2. So
I think it was really hilarious. Like week 1, they were playing the Saints, and Carlos Hyde after like accumulating 1 yard on like 5 carries, he ran for like 20 on 1, and Levitan was like, he did like the Zeke after like the eat. And Levitan tweeted about it. I just remember seeing that tweet. I've thought it was funny till this day, like Carlos Hyde.
Yes, still. Oh, I guess Kiki Kute is a guy who I think the thing is that Will Fuller's absence is like almost exclusively going to benefit Hopkins and Stills, primarily Stills, but like Hopkins still does run deep routes, whereas Stills is just like the exact same guy as Fuller, just a few years older, and I think he's probably shorter. Whereas Kute is like the opposite player. He's like a low A-dot slot guy who's basically not going to be moved to the outside much. I just don't see how Fuller benefits in that much. And we saw last week, Stills played almost all of the snaps because Fuller missed like basically the entire game. So for me, it's mostly Stills, but I still think if you're game stacking, maybe Kute is like the leverage play over Stills because Stills is going to be massively popular for all the reasons I just said.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Like, I don't mind Kute. I think he's definitely viable. He's definitely getting a bump with Fuller out. I think it's a sharp call. Yeah, I like Kute. I think he's a good play.
Yeah, I think that's everything we talked about. I think Darren Waller still a fine play to run him back with, but at 5,900, you're doing it solely for like the touchdown equity game stack, not because he's a good value at that point for me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Waller's really, a lot of people are really on Waller this week. I'd rather do everything else.
It's just 5,900 is so much.
Than chase Waller. Like, but I get it. So.
Yeah, especially like Foster Moreau, like maybe it's because they're running 2 tight ends. That's where I haven't looked into that, but just generally, he's got like, I think he got like a touchdown in 2 of the past 3 weeks or something. Like it just, I can't imagine playing Darren Waller and Foster Moreau goes out and scores 2 touchdowns and then Darren Waller scores 0. If that happens, I don't know how you live with yourself.
Yeah. You love to remind me about Foster Moreau. Yeah, that's another reason not to play him.
All right, let's get into questions. If you have any questions, please shoot them into the question section. I don't know what it looks like from your side, but find out how to ask questions and do that while we answer these ones. What position should I pay up for this week, and what position should I use to find value? I mean, I don't know. You can do whatever you want, but I think the best plays of the week are at running back, like Latavius Murray, Fournette, Chris Carson. So I guess that's paying up at running back. So yeah, I guess running back would be the answer. What about you?
You're paying up at running back. I think you're paying down at wide receiver. Stills, talked about him. Mike Williams is another guy we talked about. Cortland Sutton, I guess. He's a little bit more expensive. I like Sanders, Teddy Ginn.
Yeah, I mean, in cash, you're typically paying up for running back anyways because you're securing a ton of volume. And in tournaments, I don't really view it as like what positions I'm paying up for. It's just like mostly correlation based for me. So
yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Yeah, you can pay up for running backs. Pay up for Thomas or Hopkins. Like, there's a bunch of different options.
All right, next question. Tight end PPR, Darren Fells, Noah Fant, Josh Hill, or Ricky Seals-Jones. Like, I will limit this to Noah Fant and Ricky Seals-Jones because I feel much more confident about those guys. I would say Noah Fant, but like given Bob's arguments, I guess Ricky Seals-Jones is in play.
Don't put it on me. I don't know why.
I think raw projection, Noah Fant's a better play. But if you're running Julian Edelman in the tournament, Ricky Seals-Jones might be a better play.
Yeah, that's how I ended up. I was like, what can I do here?
Yeah, just PPR league, Noah Fant's a better projected play, but in DFS,
they're all bad plays, and
yeah,
if we're gonna be honest.
They're all very bad plays, but
they're all very bad plays.
It happens. I have Christian McCaffrey, Aaron Jones, and Latavius Murray need to start 2. Still McCaffrey and Latavius Murray for me.
Yeah,
Like there's no you will never
and
bench
Lat.
McCaffrey in a season-long league.
Yeah.
And Latavius Murray is just going to dominate the work, whereas Aaron Jones is still susceptible to Jamal Williams.
Chark, Stills, or Hilton? Are those? Yeah, you'd read the questions. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll stick to the questions. Would you Wool play Cooks or Evans? I'm assuming Brandon Cooks or Mike Evans. I'd still go Mike Evans. He's like dominating area. I think he's still leading the team in air yards. And he's tied in targets if memory serves me correctly, whereas Brandon Cooks is just such a more speculative play. And they might also, like, if he doesn't score in the first half, they could just run out the clock in the second half. So for me, it's Mike Evans pretty clearly.
Yeah, it's Mike Evans.
All right. Odell, Beckham, Crowder, Beasley, Godwin need 2 PPR. Beckham, Godwin. Let's move on with our day. I like this one. Zach Pascal or Jacoby Myers? Oh,
Pascal or Myers? I'm
yeah.
a big Jacoby Myers guy.
I honestly have no clue. So Jacoby Myers is Winston or Tannehill. My starter Mahomes is out.
Don't play those guys. Play Myers, definitely.
Winston or Tannehill? Winston. I don't know. I'm not in on Tannehill. I don't know. He's a career backup.
I want Tannehill over Winston. I'll take Tannehill. You like Tannehill all week. Why are you gonna switch?
In raw, he's also in DFS. He's how many hundred cheaper? I think he's a good value play. I just don't think he's a good upside play. I don't get why you play him in tournaments.
All right, keep going, Kyle.
All right, we've got we already answered that one. Need one of the following PPR: Sammy Watkins, Cole Beasley, or Mike Williams. Mike Williams.
Sammy Watkins, Mike Williams is definitely the play.
Yeah, with the Keenan Allen news, pretty obvious. You think Chark or Marquez Valdes-Scantling? I would go Chark, I would assume. I don't know. I guess with Devontae Adams out, I guess that's a pretty, and I'm assuming he is going to be out. I think there's pretty positive indication that he's out. So I don't know. I'll leave this one up to you. DJ Chark or Marquez Valdes-Scantling?
I'm going Chark, but I feel like MVS is a good play too.
Yeah, I agree. Chark, Stills, Hilton need 2. I would probably still definitely Hilton. I get that. I don't know. He's a better PPR season long play than he is a DFS play. Still play Hilton and probably Chark again. Chark over Stills, I would assume for you as well.
Yeah. Oh wait, whoa. Chark over Stills.
Just season long, projection season long PPR. That's the thing.
I
You
don't
have to
care.
switch.
I'm still playing Stills. Is that a bad take?
That's fine. I mean, I'm just sure they're projected within a point or 2 of each other. It's fine.
No, I'm playing Stills, dude. And then I'm playing Stills, and I'm playing. Oh shoot! You have to play Chark and Hill. Oh yeah, I don't know. You got me.
I'm certainly playing Hilton.
Chark and Hilton. I'd probably play Hilton and Stills if I was playing DFS. If I was playing season long, I don't know. I like all 3 plays, kind of it's a tough one.
I think the important thing for me is you're very obviously playing Hilton. Just in terms of raw projection, he's going to get market share is going to be so much higher.
Okay.
All right. Next, last question. AJ Brown, wide receiver for the Titans, over under 60 receiving yards. I'm going to say under just because his median projection is probably significantly under 60.
I'm going to say under 2. I want to fade that.
Just more often than not, he will go under. I don't think it's a bad DFS play because you're not banking on median projections in tournaments, but more often than not, he's going under. Deontay Johnson or Preston Williams? I think this is a Preston Williams based show. I think we both like Preston Williams as far as I know. So
yeah, we both like Preston.
If Juju sits, I think he got sick this week. I think typically when players get sick, they end up playing if they're not Sam Darnold.
Sick of this show.
But if he doesn't play, I guess, but you have to know by today. So, or no, they're both Monday night. So if Juju doesn't play, you play Deontay Johnson. Any other situation, play Preston Williams. J.D. McKissick over under 50 yards rushing today.
That was a joke. This is my favorite. I love this. Having the opportunity to do this. Started when I first started playing season long when I was younger. I was probably in the 6th grade. I used to read Emil's books. It's just run a little long at this point. We got to get going, Kyle. 10 o'clock.
There's a lot of questions. McKissick over under 50 yards. Definitely under. Under. Austin Hooper, Tyler Lockett. Probably still Tyler Lockett.
Yeah. Whatever
right.
Kyle says.
That is the end of the show, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We have a big crowd today. So everybody, thanks for tuning in. For Bobby Gomes at Bobby Gomes DFS, for myself at Kyle Tweets here. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. We will catch you Wednesday, at 8:15 on the
Know why we
Week
have a
9
big
breakdown.
crowd? Know why we have a big crowd? You want to know why?
Go ahead.
Because last week I called Marvin Jones. That's it.
How much money did you make last week?
Not enough.
I know. You had all the calls.
Not enough.
You had
Oh
very
my
good calls
God,
last week.
dude.
I know.
Not enough, dude.
Had all the puzzle pieces, just couldn't fit them together. All right. For Bobby Gomes at Bobby Gomes DFS, for myself at Kyle Tweets here, everybody, we'll see you Wednesday at 8:15 on the same stream for the Week 9 breakdown. We'll catch you then.
Later, guys.